Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 23rd, 2023 at approximately 4:58 p.m. PST. Now, I'm responsible for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally live by, are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the ones that I personally live by. Now, before I go any further, people, my sincere apologies. Things got a little bit screwy here today. Hence, I am very late getting started, but thank you so much for being here. Now let's just see what's going on before I get into this. We have Eternity in the house with the gold. And Chad Smith podcast is here with the silver. Then we have the Belt of Truth, who has come in with the bronze. And Raven McMinn has got in here with the honorable mention. Now, I really do apologize, but my life gets a little screwy on occasion, in case you haven't noticed. And what do we got here? So, needless to say, things are always a little bit odd. And, yep, we did. But we are here. Fortunately, we are running open topic today, which makes things a whole lot easier, in a manner of speaking. This said, doesn't matter what we're talking about. If you've got a question that comes up in your head, regardless of what we're talking about, put your question in all caps or at least partial caps, even that funny little wavy hand, to let me know that you've got a question. This would be greatly appreciated. Now remember, all caps in this room is not called yelling. It is simply letting me know that you've got a question. Now, what do we got here? Let's just take a look and see what was started off here. Okay. Now the Belt of Truth is asking, yes, it's definitely an open topic. Okay, by the way, I haven't seen you in here before. Welcome aboard. I really do appreciate you sharing your time with us. Now, okay, open topic. And the Belt of Truth is asking, the last 6 months I keep seeing the number 33, i.e. 5 on the phone clock. Okay, up, and we will get to that in just 5 seconds. First and foremost, hopefully this is here, YouTube. That will be the first part, so we take that, because Chad is in the house here. And he's the first one that I've seen, the first of the many people that have their own YouTube channels. Okay. And, because of the fact that I personally can't get to a lot of them, I have dropped in. But, Chad, this is the link to Chad's archives. Drop in, give them a listen. If you like what he talks about, absolutely give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. One day he may get back to recording. Right now, it's essentially hidden information that you may not have. Now, when we take a look at the number 33, okay, we can look at this. Obviously, we are talking numerology. A lot of people will notice double-digit number, like repeated digits in numbers, whether it's 1 1 2 2 3 3. Okay, but it's bringing your attention to an event. In the case of 33, first and foremost, if we take a look at standard Pythagorean numerology, okay, 3 is still a number of creativity. It is still a number indicating communication. Now, for some bizarre reason, and this is why I don't just work with basic numerology. Numerology where you're dealing with numbers 1 to 9. This is called Pythagorean numerology. I deal with what I call base 12, or if you will, universal. Now, if you look at the number 3, you're looking at community because 3 plus 3 is 6, indicating communication. Okay. And when you're looking at it, it is kind of important. But what it is, where it comes to seeing it all the time, is reminding yourself to pay attention to your own instincts. Start listening to what you're feeling. It may not be what everybody else is thinking, because you got to remember, it all impacts on the individual. Now, when we look at universal numerology at base 12, 33 isn't 3. It's not just creativity. 33 is 24, which is 2 complete cycles, plus 11, making 13, or the number 2. As in 1 complete cycle plus 1. So, when we look at the number 2, you're looking at choice. You have undoubtedly hit a point in your life where it is critical you start paying attention to your own path, to what you're content with. Now, what do we got here? Yeah, Chad's just gone, and like I said, I'm way back a bit here. But Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And of course, Raven here is also, Raven, now do understand, and this is why I don't object to it at all. Raven works with standard Pythagorean numerology, which is, it is a very well accepted, very well documented form. I find a little bit of complication with it, but I'm certainly not going to tell you that she is wrong. You gotta remember, somewhere between what you know and what all other people tell you, and what you know, what you feel, what you can prove, somewhere in the middle of all that is the answer. But one of the reasons I've got Raven posted in there as a moderator, speaking of which, Raven, this is, in case you didn't put it there, this here is the link. Well, what is that? Chance I forgot to hit enter. This here is the link to Robin's show. So again, absolutely, drop in, give her a listen, hear what she has to say. If you like what she's talking about, do give her a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Now we have football here in the house as well. As you can see, I'm scrolling down as I go, trying to catch up here. Actually, I'm really, really pleasantly surprised that I've got this many people in the chat room right now. But especially given how late I was. Now, where are we here? Yeah, no, honestly, Joe, I really don't. I live by a whole pile of brain dead people, but that isn't the same thing. Yeah. No, that would be a little disconcerting now, wouldn't it, football? Football just says she doesn't live near a cemetery, but she once saw 2 Rottweilers roaming around one. And of course, the first question I always ask is, are you sure they were alive? Because I will tell you, dogs, just like people, after they pass away, can certainly remanifest in the physical world. And we scroll down a little further here. Oh, no, in all fairness, Joe, the problem there was I ended up getting very badly sidetracked. I was intending on being live. That's why I said I'm ready to go. And then complications around my home held me up getting back in here. I don't think stranded YouTube is causing a problem. But what have we got here? Oh, Philip, the closest thing I do to artwork is a stick man that fell down the staircase and landed in a carburetor. I am not one of these people that that I would call an artist. I've been called a lot of things, but an artist is not actually one of them. Do I understand the way sacred geometry works? Absolutely. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I mean, the way I figured, I'm going to be late for my own funeral, at least the next one. It's funny. I've been early enough to pass away, but no, I am not what you would call an artist, unless you consider writing a type of art. At which point, okay, that one I can work with. Now, what do we got here? Like Chad's just asking, what is your favorite place in the universe to go to live and go on vacation? I don't know if I actually have a favorite one, but I will tell you one of the best ones I ever went to. Okay, and for some weird reason, we are going to have to take a look at this and realize that when I went into the heart of a wormhole, I didn't do it in physical form. Okay, a corporeal body will not survive the pull of a black hole. But I did go into the heart of a wormhole at one point in another form in order to take a look. And it's a really weird setup because right smack at that flip around, because when you look at a black hole, everything gets pulled into it, okay, kind of like a drain. But you got to remember, they say nothing comes back out. This is where they're mistaken. Okay, it's just humans cannot track the exiting energy yet. But I did find the energy conduits inside the transitory position in a black hole were something phenomenal to watch. Picture, if you will, really getting not only the auditory and optical feel of the aurora borealis, but picture what happens when you can feel the actual magnetic or gravitational pull. Okay, it's definitely a different way of looking at the world. You know, the neat part about it, for me, vacation is kind of a weird setup because the reality of it is, I was told, and I've always been led to believe, if you're going on vacation, you're going to put your feet up to relax. I don't know if I even remember how to relax. That is just terrible, Philip. That really is. Um, when we take a look at it, but when we call them, from one stand, we refer to them as wormholes because if you look at the way that energy travels through a wormhole, it really does this kind of a figure. But it'll double back, and no, my hand doesn't do that. I don't know if the worm appreciates it. I mean, it's a term that is used here. Okay. And it's been referred to as a temporal conduit, not because of the fact that you change time, but because of the fact they cut so much time off the travel period that it becomes absolutely bizarre. Now, something we really have to remember, okay, is when people talk about time slowing down, speeding up, you're talking essentially about an illusion. Okay, because when you take a look at your life, in case you hadn't noticed, if you're enjoying doing something, time seems to move a lot faster. You know, if you're not enjoying it, it can certainly feel like it takes forever. You know, but where you take a look at that, where it comes to on Earth, well, I don't recall the last holiday I was actually on, but I do know if everything goes well, I'm going to end up down in Texas at the beginning of October. Okay, and I know the last time I was there, I actually enjoyed it. Okay, Chad's asking, is Bigfoot a type of ET or an earthly being? Okay, now this one, Dave Scott of Space Out Radio and myself are definitely, we've agreed to disagree. Okay, Dave sees it as a different type of entity. Myself, very definitively earthly. More specifically, what you call Bigfoot is Gigantopithecus, as in 3 steps back on the evolutionary tree of mankind. Okay, take Homo sapien, go back a step, you have Cro-Magnon. Go back another step, you have Neanderthal. One more step, you have Gigantopithecus. Now, I do believe there's another one in there, but I don't recall it right offhand. Now, Philip's just asking, oh, wait a minute. Ozzy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, the reality is I got started really late today. But Philip is just asking, are you going to Texas to be a cowboy? No, definitely not. But I'll show you something here, bearing that in mind. I'm not becoming a cowboy. I mean, realistically, I wear those. That is my standard wear. But give me half a second and I will show you something here. And yes, that means I'm going to get up and leave the room. See, one of the reasons why I'm certainly not looking at becoming a cowboy is very simple. Up until, 7 years ago? 2000, I think about 2012, 2013. I was absolutely terrified of horses. Okay, something happened that year. I don't even know what. But here's a little piece of trivia for you. Okay, in Kelowna here, if you're getting a big hat, if you're looking for a hat, the largest I could find for the longest time was a double X. Now, I've always held that I had a fat head. Okay, this funny little hat. Okay, that funny little hat, this one, is actually a 4X. I can't even get a physical hat, like a full face helmet on my head. Okay. And most hats, all the rest of them, literally sit up on top of my head. But this one I can actually wear and put it in place, which for me works out kind of conveniently. Well, that's just it, Philip. With those boots, my parents were told when I was a kid, because of the damage that had been done at 20 months old, my parents were told, your son, is mentally retarded. If he ever learns to tie his shoes, he's ahead of the game. So I got in the boots, and that's where I've remained. Yeah, Philip, I found out the hard way. Oh, you mean the inches? I have no idea. All I know is this particular hat shows it is a 4X. Okay. I've never actually measured it. I mean, I technically could. As a matter of fact, I might be able to. Might just be able to if the thing is still sitting there. There really is no functional telling where things are going to go with this and with this particular stream. Because, like I said, I get asked questions, and most of them I will answer. There are some questions people will come out and ask. I'll just look at you and go, I'm not telling you. Now, understand, I am not a professional tailor, so this is only at best a rough gauge. Now, if I take a look at that, and yes, if you take a look at this, okay, that tape measure, that is in centimeters. This is what people up in Canada tend to work with. Myself, sorry guys, I think you'll recognize this a little better. Okay, I still think in terms of inches. But if I take a look at this, I just have to open it up so I can figure it out. But it's really weird. I get asked some really odd questions here, and I don't have a problem with them. So if I open that up, there we go. See, when I take a look at that, I am looking at somewhere between 23 and 24 inches. Okay, now there's a bizarre question for you. Like I said, from my standpoint, I don't have a problem with it. Most questions, I don't have a problem. I ran into one, I've had one question that I flat out told people, I'm not going to answer questions about other people. It's just not going to happen unless I get called by somebody of authority, meaning the police, some sort of government official that goes, look, we want this information. Well, I don't do vertical time for anybody, vertical bar time. That hat there, I stumbled across in Value Village one day, a secondhand store. Okay, I've never seen a hat that size in Kelowna since. And that one I came across, I think, probably almost a decade ago. I think. I may well be off on the time, but then I don't track time well anyway. But that's the short answer to your question there, Philip. And yeah, in all fairness, I know that the sellers have wide brim hats, the sellers of umbrellas right now are doing extremely well. Okay. Well, I don't know if they're doing well because, quite frankly, they're probably overpricing, but that's just my personal opinion. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to wind up this neat little tape measure again. Like I said, this is actually a tailor's tape measure. I'm just no tailor. Although I do know a couple of tailors. Now, of course, I know a couple of tailors, as in people that work with clothing and what have you. I also know a few people named Taylor. Okay. Where are we here? Football Cat goes, I worry used items keep bad spirits or bed bugs. Well, you can worry about it, be my guest. The the actual reality from everything I've run into football is no. The only, especially when you're dealing with certain, now, some energy or some, okay, think first, then speak. On the whole, older items don't carry the negative energy with them. And as for bed bugs, that is something you definitely check. Check your bed. If you're buying a secondhand bed, absolutely you check the thing. You do have it cleaned professionally to ensure it doesn't have that sort of problem. Okay, but objects themselves, old clothing or secondhand clothing, secondhand stuff, no, honestly, it really doesn't. I mean, the only time it tends to carry that kind of emanation is if the person that had it lost it due to major trauma. Okay, and usually that boils down to something solid. Cloth does not hold energy well. Crystals and physical items, and your harder pack things like rings can absolutely carry energy with them. But there's a neat little thing here. Now, this ring, I got it off my older brother's estate. Okay. Now my older brother, okay, this by the way is sterling silver. I can't wear anything but sterling. Okay. If I wear plate silver, I'll dissolve it. Okay. But this little ring is sterling silver, and that green stone there, that's malachite. Okay. But show you something really neat. Now, I've talked to you, at least I've talked to people here before. Where are we here? I've talked to people before. When you take your hands, put them palm towards each other, about half an inch, okay, quarter of an inch, half an inch apart, where you can still see between them, okay, you'll feel some energy running between them. That is 0 point energy, or at least that's what Terrence calls 0 point. This is something you can manipulate. This is something you can work with to heal your body, to heal other people, to heal the very planet itself. Now, this is what I'm going to show you. Let's say you get an item, okay, like this ring, for instance. Okay, all you do with it. Now, there are two ways of dealing with it. Take a piece of jewelry, put it up in the windowsill, on the windowsill at night, in full unimpeded moonlight, meaning you can absolutely, just like unimpeded sunlight, you can absolutely keep it inside. If you put it on a windowsill and you've got an open window, like a screen door there is fine, but you move the glass out of the way. Set the ring on top of the sill in clear moonlight. Now, this is a slow way of doing it, I'll tell you, and you'll understand why in a sec. Okay. Whoop. There we go. That will clear the negative energy, and it will rejuvenate the item itself. Okay, because the moonlight is a luminary. Okay, it gives off healing energy, as does the sun. The moonlight just does it at night. Okay, now the other option, now that will take you, put it in direct moonlight for 3 days running. Okay, leave it sit on the sill in direct moonlight. Okay, which needless to say, if we're leaving it for 3 days running, you're leaving it for 72 hours. Okay, which, by the way, the numerology I work with works at 72, works out to 6 complete cycles, meaning community. Okay, the healing energy of community, which is an absolute reality from what I've seen. Okay, if you look at Pythagorean numerology, 72 works out to 7 plus 2 is 9, meaning you're looking at beginnings and endings. Okay, well, in my experience, every single moment of every day is a beginning and an ending. The method I use for clearing new stuff coming into my house is I take my hand, doesn't matter if it's right hand or left hand, put it in the palm of my hand, okay, and then I just simply close my hand around it and concentrate on one word: heal. By doing that, I completely permeate this object with the healing energy of my own body. Okay, thereby attuning it to my world. Okay, it won't eliminate where the ring has come from. It will also not take away the ability for a psychometrist, somebody who reads the energy off of items. It won't stop them from being able to read it. Okay, now for me, that's the easiest way. That way, once clear, you put it on, and it stays on my ring on my ring finger most of the time. You'll notice I put it on my right hand. I don't wear any ring on my left. Not yet. Okay, eventually I will get married again. And when that happens, then there will be a ring here. Prior to that, well, that's not entirely correct. When I get engaged, if I've got a ring at that point, it too will go on my left hand ring finger. That's just my belief structure. Okay, now I'm just going back up here. Yeah, Philip, you are right. When I got into the boots, it did eliminate tying my own laces, tripping over my own laces. The reality of it is, if I go in flat shoes, my knee goes the backwards direction. Not a fun experience, although it's great for stopping people in the tracks. Now, before anybody asks, because I'm just going to put this out there, okay, no, I'm not about to show you what kind of shape my teeth are in because they're a shambles. And thus far, I'm still looking for how to override that problem and put them back together. Now, if I go down here, just scroll down a bit, and we go, yeah, Phil's just going, I think, in terms of units of measure. I grew up on television. I always wondered why they never gave us a metric system. Okay, why they never gave you the metric system temperatures on the local weather. What were they weren't hiding it. Here's the way it went from my understanding. I went through school just as they were transitioning from standard to the metric system. And from what I remember, what I was told was the United States started to transition over to metric, which is what most of the rest of the world works with. Okay, at least from what I gather. But here's the thing. The United States started the transitional period. Now, this was back in 1975, when I was in grade 8. Okay, Canada jumped on the wagon and started making the transition as well. But, so I got all the translation, all the calculations to figure out how to translate it. But your United States government, from what I gather, went the cost of transitioning from the standard system to metric was too expensive, so they dropped the idea and stayed with the standard. Okay, Our government didn't see it that way. Continued to make the transition. Myself, you think about it. 1975. Okay, I was only 12 years old. I still think in terms of feet and inches and miles per hour and Fahrenheit. I just happen to, because of the way that the weather is set up here, because of the way it's recorded, I turned around, I turned around and learned how to calculate when I take a look at the weather. It's like, okay, I know what it translates into, but were they ever trying to actually hide something? No, what it was they decided not to spend the money on the transition. At least that's what we were told. Now, Carl, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hope your day's been going well. Ozzy's asking, isn't 72 1 degree cycle of the 2160 72 1 degree of the 2160 year constellation progression? I will have to take your word for that. Quite honestly there, Ozzy, I've never done the calculation. I've never looked at the calculation. So I just can't give you a definitive answer. And Ozzy's going golden ratio 36, 72, 108, 216, 432, all equal 9. The moon is 2160 miles in diameter. 60 times 24 divided by 4 quarters of the day. Yeah, and this is the mathematical side. I don't have the background for. I haven't done the calculations. So I'm going to simply go with your calculations and go, it works. Okay. That's the easiest way to look at it. Now, I play with numbers all the time. But have I looked at the golden ratio? No. And here's why. I didn't have the time and or the interest in it. How's that for a subtle answer? By the way, this doesn't mean that the other ratios and those calculations don't matter. It simply means they didn't hold enough of my attention to bother with them. Can I suggest you write to, that you write to whoever and ask them to deal with that? Phil's just saying, he goes in BC, they give it in Fahrenheit and Celsius. Okay. I don't know. I don't watch the weather report. Okay. I really don't. But that's one of those things that you start writing, bringing this to their attention, and just maybe you'll get somebody to translate it over there. That's the best way I can put it. Ozzy goes, the only thing that is useful or accurate is miles, as it's based on the 24-hour day. And again, from my end, I don't worry about it too much because you can find ratios in just about everything. But we are talking way much higher math than what I'm used to. Okay, I was good at math, but I was good at basic math. Yeah, football goes, the weather report in Texas is hot until October. Oh, Ozzy goes, I wrote wrong. I was too excited. The way I look at it, being too excited is sort of a relative thing. If it's screwing up your thinking pattern, it probably is a little bit of a pain in the neck. But, if you're excited about life, this is what we have to, and what we've got to bring back to life, is the idea of being excited about life. Yeah, Chad goes, I'm ready for cooler weather. See, I don't mind the temperature the way it is right now. For me, if I don't have ice, 5,280, Philip. Okay, just down, Philip just asked how many feet in a mile. Okay, now of course we'd have that other question. If you start looking at how many people and what animal, I mean, let's face it, you can get a lot more than 5,280, feet in a mile if you get a whole pile of millipedes lined up. Okay, then you get a lot more feet in a mile. Don't ask me to do the calculation because I'm just not grabbing the calculator for it right now. Why not? You take a look at it. Take that. We take 5,280. That's 5,280 feet in a mile. Multiply that by 12. You've now got 63,360 inches in a mile. If you take a millipede, okay, and just take a little millipede at an inch long, well, that's a pretty big millipede. Okay, millipedes quite often are only half an inch, so we double that again. Okay, we now have 126,720 half inches in a mile. Take a millipede with, I think they've got, well, why don't we find that out? If we're going to do something silly here, why not do it real well? And we go. How many feet does a millipede have? Now, there we go. Most species of millipedes have around 300 legs. Okay. Now, it will vary depending on the exact species, but when we take a look at that, you take your 126,720 half inches in a mile. Now, we're going to multiply that by 300 because we take your millipedes and just take a half inch. Well, how long is the average millipede? Let's try that. That should be right. How long is the average millipede? Oh, there we go. Yeah, they go, it's the average millipede is 1 to 12 inches long. So let's recalculate that just on principle. We go 5,280 feet in a mile. Okay, multiply that by 12. We have 63,360 inches in a mile. Okay, and now we're going to take that, and that's inches. We're going to divide that by 6 just on principle. And you're looking at, you can get, now, when you're measuring them by yardstick, okay, or by in the one way, you got 5,280 feet in a mile. But if you line up your average length of millipede, all of a sudden you've got 10,000. Whoop. Oh, they go up to into a foot. So we divide that. Well, geez, jumping criminy. 5,280 is feet. You divide that by 5,280. Multiply that by 12. Okay, now that's per foot. So we're going to double that again. So you're taking an average of 6 inches. So we multiply. So we've got 126,720 6-inch sections in a mile. Okay, being the average length of a millipede. Multiply that by 300. And you now have taken your feet in a mile 5,280 all of a sudden jumps to 38,016,000 feet in a mile. This is why, when I talk about numbers, you got to realize numbers can be made to tell just about anything. Okay, it's kind of like statistics. You listen to commercials, and they'll tell you 1 out of every 4 dentists recommend Crest toothpaste, for instance. Okay, and they do the same thing for AIM, for Colgate. Name the toothpaste, you figure it out. But here's the thing: 4 out of 10, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothpaste. 9 out of 10 means 90% of dentists recommend this one brand. Okay, sounds really good. Okay, until you get a neat little side effect. And you realize that they actually had to check with 100 dentists to find 9. At that point, 90% all of a sudden collapses, and now you're only looking at 9%. Okay. Now, let's see here. Phillips just, so you can see how numbers can be changed. This is the same thing with any marketing, and it's something that I've got to learn how to do properly. Okay, because in case you hadn't noticed, I have a tendency of looking at things from a little too literal of a point in some cases. Okay, now, where are we? Difficult for me to visualize the number of acres like in the fire report, but if they give us square miles or even square feet, I can visualize the size in my head. The trick there, Philip, is go on the internet or go into old style books and find out the measurement so you can actually translate it in your own head. I will absolutely stand by the concept, regardless of your education level, you can memorize all the different translations without too terribly much trouble. Okay, it is something if I can learn to remember names, you can certainly remind yourself how to remember numbers and formulate. And yeah, Philip, I absolutely agree that it's a good thing millipedes don't need shoes or boots. Okay, can you picture the amount of noise that would make? 1 millipede with 300 hard-soled cowboy boots walking across a hardwood floor. Talk about noisy. Now, just looking here. Philip's going, one question. Who trusts dentists? I can't even go to a dentist. Okay, because I suffer from PTSD triggered by the dentist. I suffer from it from hospitals as well. Okay, but that being said, okay, if you can deal with the dentist, they definitely know more about dental work than I do. And I would much rather go to a dentist, even with my PTSD, than get somebody that doesn't know anything about it to deal with the way my teeth are. Okay, net result, I'm striving to remember how to rebuild them. My teeth, I mean. And I have not seen you in here before, Gunther. So welcome aboard. Glad you made it here. Okay, this is very much, for me, this is very much a family. Okay, the people in this chat room everybody's welcome, providing you stick within the idea of the 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Okay, I've only had to remove one person in 2 years because I started this stream back on March 6th of 2020. 3 years. Okay, think of 2020. Unfortunately, it might have been 2021, but you get the idea. Okay, where are we here? But yeah, Gunther, welcome aboard. You know, one of the things I do on this stream, for those of you that don't recall, okay, I am keeping tabs on which countries are actually represented in this chat room that I've seen people in. Okay, now if anybody is from a chat room or is from a country that I don't list off here, do me a favor and put the country in the chat room. Okay, right now we've had people from Canada, the United States, England, Denmark, Australia, and Singapore come through this chat room. You know, what I'm looking for is to eventually become, when I talk about global, I mean get people out of every one of the countries in this world. I do not see any country as a first world country, second world, or third world. I shouldn't say that. I see every country, every nation as first world. Because in case you hadn't noticed, we're all living on the same planet. Okay. And this is just that neat little reminder of mine. Okay. I keep this thing handy because this is just a subtle reminder. Not so subtle. Okay. This fine little thing we call a globe. Somewhere on this globe, okay, you'll find where you are. Now, we'll see what happens. My hallway has over 100 Boston hats, which are just the little figureheads. Okay, they're actually available in England. I just have over 100 of them here. Yeah, that was definitely the wrong pair of glasses to put on. These are great glasses for driving, not so much for looking at the computer. Because I put those on, I can't see the computer. And I do mean I can't see the computer. Now, let us take a look here. Yeah, the sad part there, Ozzy, when I went to the dentist, the reason I ended up with PTSD is I'm immune to local anesthetic effectively. Only when I told the dentist decades back that the anesthetic didn't work, he wouldn't believe me, and I ended up having 2 teeth removed without anesthetic. I haven't been able to go back to a dentist since. Okay. Now, I'm just scrolling down here. Finally figured out how to stop the chat from scrolling so I can actually keep tabs of it. Oh, and we have, where are we? Let's minimize that one. And we go back into here, and where is world? Here we are. Copy. I've just noticed world has just come through the door. You may have got here earlier when world, but, and I realize that, Nathan. I'll be popping yours in here momentarily. This is the link to World's channel. Okay, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's got to say, give him a thumbs up, and do subscribe to the channel. Okay, and then share the daylights out of it. And this, of course, is from Nathan, for Nathan. Okay, and this is the Quantum Show. And it's kind of funny, I've been on Nathan's show a couple of times. Okay, and again, give him a listen. If you like what he's got to say, give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Now, where do we go here? Yeah, Nathan goes, I'm invisible. Nathan, are you pulling that neat little stunt that so many kids pull? They'll sit there right in front of you and go, you can't see me. I don't know if that works all that well, but it certainly stops the kid from seeing what's going on. I swear half the people I know, that's the way they drive. What you can't see can't hurt you. So they close their eyes and figure and guess where they're going. Oh, world. Perfectly. Perfect. World goes, what has he got here? Here's the link for tonight's show. Inevitably Finding Bigfoot. Behind the scenes in part 1. Thank you so much there, world. I do appreciate it. And guys, again, World comes on at 8 o'clock p.m. on Sundays. Okay. Now, needless to say, right now we have me sitting at, now that's 8 o'clock p.m. Central, which boils down to 6 p.m. Pacific. Okay. Now, needless to say, we're just hitting that here. So I'm turning around. I'm looking at it going, many of you, if you guys end up, I do recommend that you do drop in and see him as best you can. I know when I'm done this stream, I've got another call I've got to deal with because I'm still trying to get a video recording program up and running so I can do as has been requested and suggested and get shorter videos out or pre-records. But I gotta have the program installed on the computer that doesn't cripple my computer. Okay. And yeah, World's Going starts in 6 minutes. And Philip, actually, in all fairness, some of you may well know him. I have a chap down in the States that gives me a real big hand where it comes to sorting out problems with my computer. That'd be Frank down in Texas. Some of you guys may know him. Okay. Where are we here? What do we got? Oh, football's asking, do horses like their mane braided? It's not so much whether they like it. They don't have a problem with it. Okay. I mean, I'd love to see a horse braid their own hair. But braiding is a hairstyle, and in all fairness, horses don't worry about the hairstyle. Okay. They worry about the pheromonal discharge and the bearing and the majesty of the other horses. Okay. The way they feel to each other is far more important than the way they look. Now, I have no idea which one and whether or not horses see in color or what it is. I've never looked into it. I mean, the way I figure it, I was terrified of horses when I was a kid. Okay. Oh, if you're still here, world, one very important question. How long does your show actually run? Okay, I know we've got a listed coming on Sunday at 8 p.m. Now, and we go here, just looking down a little. World turns around and says, Bigfoot braid horse manes too. I just did a show on that last week. And this is what I mean about World's information on Bigfoot. I've met Bigfoot, but I've done no studying. Okay. I mean, quite frankly, the reality is I don't leave my house much. So, net result, I don't tend to run into Bigfoot too terribly often. Okay, unless, of course, you count a friend of mine who's got very big feet. But I think that's a different definition. Now I gotta, Nathan's going to avoid El Paso. Myself, the way I look at it, well, number one, I'm not about to avoid it. That's where I'm heading. Okay. And if I'm not going to El Paso, there's not much point in my going down there. I don't travel well to start with. Thank you so much, World. Okay. World Way comes on in like 2 minutes here. He's only on for an hour. So absolutely drop in, either give him a listen directly or listen to the show after hours. And I know that is a big thing for a lot of people, because I don't know about you. Myself, I seldom have time to get on for a live show. Now where are we here? Yeah, Philip, they do think about falling in love in Texas. In all fairness, they think about falling in love pretty much anywhere. Myself, I like the way that it was put to me, that myself and my ex-wife, we didn't fall into love, we grew into it. And I will tell you, it's one of those things that everybody deserves to experience, and that is the experience of true, true open love with another individual. And when I talk about open, I don't mean, oh, I'm married to this person, or I'm dating this person, but it's an open relationship so I can go crawling to bed with somebody else. This doesn't work. Okay, not well, anyway. What have we got? Yeah, Nathan goes, corrupted medical community. Bad news, it's tearing. The odds are it's a little out of kilter. Okay, but do understand, the medical community, even though a lot of the people in it may well be corrupted, you got to realize one very important factor. The people trained in medical are more trained and more aware. Never mind their motivation, never mind the way all the insurance is set up. I'm referring to the people that have dedicated their life to learning medicine, to helping other people. The majority of people are decent individuals. And I'll tell you, you can't see it. But, okay, well, my fingers are outlining the end of a scar that was left after I snapped my arm so badly the doctors had to plate it back together. Now the reality is they told me I'd be 4 to 6 months before it even started to heal. I had it fully healed in 9 days. Yeah, Joe goes, if your dentist has to almost rip your jaw off, pulling a tooth out for you with numbing juice, he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, I agree with you there. Unfortunately, I can't do much about it at this point. I can't even go to a dentist anymore. I set foot in the property, and my blood pressure goes through the roof. Yeah, cannibals have open relationships and may be hazardous to our health. Absolutely. When you think about cannibals, if you're ever invited to dinner with them, don't go. Really bad place. Yeah, Nathan goes, possible hybrids have been seen. There's a body part harvest going on there. The sad part is there's all kinds of real different things going on. Okay. And will I agree that there are body harvesting going on? Absolutely. On Earth, there's a black market for body parts, for organs. And people are known to kill people to get a kidney to transplant, to sell on the black market. Now, I hate to be the one to tell you, okay, but when people are still willing to pay for that, okay, that industry isn't going to close down. And the more things you make that are illegal, that are, shall we say, a little less functional, the more people are going to push against it. Okay, this is why all laws must be, and they must apply to everybody. Okay, not just a certain gender, a certain race, a certain orientation, a certain skin color. They've got to apply to everyone equally. Yeah, football goes, I heard a funeral was selling body parts and burying empty caskets. That has been going on for as long as people have been being buried. Okay. See, I remember I was down in Abbotsford, which is part of Vancouver. At least in my eyes, it's part of Vancouver, BC. I was going down, I was going down the road, and I saw this sign on a brand new store, okay, brand new butcher shop, and all right across the window, great big banner, fresh meat. Now this is great. I mean, if you're going to a butcher shop, go to one that's providing fresh meat. However, I question whether this was a good option. Okay, I think it was Abbotsford. It might have been Abbotsford. Might have been Lethbridge. But the butcher shop said fresh meat. It shared a firewall with the city morgue. Okay, now I don't know if this was a genius move or an absolutely dense one. Okay, yeah, Philip's going equal protection under the law. And I absolutely feel that way. I don't care what somebody's income bracket is, what the gender is, what color they are. It doesn't matter. I don't even care what language they speak. Although I will tell you, if you don't speak English, I'm not going to be able to do much with it because I only speak English. I speak bits and pieces of other languages, as in French, German, Japanese, Spanish, Hausa, and American Sign. Okay, but it's only little bits and pieces. So from my standpoint, it really boils down to whoever you are. Like the topic came up the other day. Why are female athletes getting paid less than male athletes? Well, quite frankly, in my opinion, it's because it's been tolerated. Okay. And, to me, if somebody's a hockey player, I don't care what gender you are. Okay. If you're a hockey player, if you're a dentist, if you're a doctor, a teacher, it doesn't matter. You're male, you're female, doesn't matter. If you're doing the job, get paid the same. Now, yes, some doctors get paid more than others. Those doctors are more gifted. They've got a better reputation, a better success rate. They end up with that weird thing. And by the way, it doesn't go to everybody, but they get a raise. In school, we're taught if you show up, you get to get that gold ribbon that says, "Hey, you won." You won in the effort of participating in life. Yeah, Philip just says maybe we should eat lots of beans so they won't want to harvest us. Yeah, somehow I don't think that's going to help. Okay, but I do understand some beans are extremely beneficial to your health. Rest assured, I am no nutritionist. Matter of fact, I am 1 day of nutrition training school. And in all fairness, I was only there long enough for roll call. Okay, then I managed to get out of it, which worked out beautifully for me. I really didn't care when I was growing up what nutrition looked like. Honestly, I don't pay much attention to it now. But, and this is why I say we deal with open topic. This is not where I was planning on anything going, but then on Sundays I don't plan, period. Okay, because of course I was gaming today from 10 until 3, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Okay, so when I did that, I got done and I was supposed to be on the air right away at 4:30. Got everything set up and then got really badly sidetracked. This is why I ended up running a little later than normal. Okay. I don't know, Joe. I only managed to force my way Years ago, I saw the first 10 minutes of The Burbs. It was so flaming slow. Well, how slow was it? It was so slow that I literally closed the movie down. I've never gone back to watch it. That depends, football. It depends on who they are. Okay, if we're talking humans, no, they go after healthy organs. Okay, if you're talking some races, if it's just, for instance, oh, you've got high cholesterol. Sorry, there are some races that just means you've got more flavorful meat. So you're right smack on top of the menu. Okay. Yeah, so do I. And that's the sad part there, Ozzy. Ozzy just going. I remember when you had to actually achieve something to get an award. Now you just have to show up. It's all to destroy ambition, and everyone feels entitled now for no effort. This, unfortunately, I will agree 100%. Okay, I absolutely will agree with you. Okay, now here's the thing. I've got this new newsletter that I decided to put out. I didn't have enough to write. Okay, it is a newsletter called Positive Perspectives for a reason. It is 100% free, but it is only available upon direct request. Okay, doesn't matter if you desire it in soft copy or hard copy. Doesn't matter anywhere in the world. It is still going to be 100% free. Now, if you're interested, or for that matter, if you're trying to get a hold of me at all, this is the email necessary to get a hold of me. Okay, speaking of which, I gotta go through a bunch of those today. But that's also the email that works if you're looking at buying one of the books that I've written. That's the email that works to actually get to me, either directly or through PayPal. Okay, if you're in Canada, I do take direct email deposit. Okay, anywhere else in the world, you likely have to work with PayPal. Okay, now, Philip, in answer to your question, okay, what do they say we taste like? If they do, well, that's easy. They say that, they say literally humans taste like humans. Horses taste like horses. The one thing they will point out is if somebody is an alcoholic, they will have a much higher alcohol content, and it does change the flavor of the meat, as do drugs. Okay, but it literally is not. It tastes like chicken or it tastes like pork. It tastes like human, according to them. And that's just the way it is. You know, now football goes, I don't understand being disrespectful to police. Personally, neither do I. If I'm walking down the street and I see the police sitting there or standing there and they're not doing that and they're not working and they're able to sit, I will literally go over and thank them for taking care of things. Absolutely. You know, that's just the way reality works for me. Policemen, firemen, ambulance drivers. I used to, when I was working for Dairy Queen decades back, if I saw one of the so called first responders come into lineup, I would literally shut everybody out of the way and get them their meal. I used to be an assistant manager. I would get them shunted out of everybody else, shunted out of the way so that the ambulance driver or the fireman or whoever could get back out on the road. And the reason for that is because Lord knows if I needed them, I certainly didn't want them held up in the drive-through. Unfortunately, in today's world, I see way too often people do that. Okay. Now, with that in mind, what do we go here? I'm just looking here. Philip goes, I think participation trophies are for bad little league coaches who can care more about winning than having everyone play. When everyone gets to play, they don't care about the trophy. Well, here's the sad part. Okay, from my standpoint, it's not just the coaches. Quite often, what has happened, or what seems to have happened anyway, is so many common people, so many parents said, hey, my son showed up. He deserves a trophy. He played his little heart out. And he undoubtedly did. Absolutely, he deserves a pat on the back. But the trophy used to be, it's very much like grade 12 graduation. When I was going to school, our parents may have said, hey, congratulations, you've finished another year. But there was no graduation ceremony until you got to grade 12. Now, it is so worn out by the time you get to grade 12 that most people don't hold it with the same idea. Yeah. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong here, Ozzy, but Ozzy says the papaos say pork. I hope that's how it's pronounced. I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, and Ozzy, in case you hadn't noticed, if thank you so much, Ozzy. I appreciate that. And this is why the word is actually where are we? Papua. It's in New Guinea. Okay. Thank you so much for bringing me up to speed on that. Okay. The reality is, do I know everything? Absolutely not. Well, I do know. I wrote a story years ago, and I was told to write. We were literally told to write about anything in high school for a writing for an English project. So I wrote about anything. And if I remember correctly, and I've got the story around here somewhere, anything married something and gave birth to nothing. And it went on from there. Okay. Yeah, Ozzy goes there, some of the last that were known cannibals. Yeah, in Papua New Guinea. And I mean, realistically, they would get along with a lot of the reptilians because reptilians look at it the same way. You're deceased by natural causes. Here you go. It's dinner time. It's like, thanks so much. You are a great grandpa, but you're toast now. So we're just going to put you on bread. But, yeah, I know that's a little callous. Understand, having been clinically dead as often as I have, I've got a very different outlook on life. And for that matter, on death. And we go back up here in just a fraction. But no, the reality is, from my standpoint, when we start looking at the way the world is, okay, we have to realize when we start treating each other as equals, okay, that is when this world will start to turn around. Yeah, Ozzy goes, doesn't surprise me. Even dogs and cats will do it if the owner passes and they don't have kibble. Yeah, they will. And the reality of it is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not one to sit down and eat somebody for dinner. That's a whole different ballgame. However, push comes to shove, if it's my life and they're already deceased, from my standpoint, and yeah, I'm an odd outlook on it. Okay. Is it something that bothers me? No, it really isn't. Okay, now granted, I would rather not know who the person was. Okay, and we'll just leave that thought there. Phil goes, I would disrespect anyone who is shaking me down as a piggy bank to pay a municipal budget. on police, given fines written only for quotas. But it's the politicians I'd be most mad at. Here's the thing. We have to remember where it comes to the police. Yes, there are absolutely some police that really shouldn't have ever become police. But on the whole, police have a very difficult job. And especially if you're in danger. You know, if somebody's out there shooting up the neighborhood or robbing people, who do you call? Okay, and I'm betting dollars to donuts. You don't call the Ghostbusters. Okay, police are people. Not only do they put their life on the line to protect you in your time of need, they've got a lot of them have families at home that are still waiting to see if their loved one comes home at all. Okay, now there's a stress that I just don't feel like putting anybody through. Am I ever going to become a police officer? Not a snowball's prayer. First and foremost, in my case, could match the physical. Second of all, you don't want me pointing a gun at somebody. Because I'll tell you, the person that's the safest is the one that's about 5 feet in front of me. Okay, if I've got a gun in my hand and I'm pointing it, be 5 feet in front of me. You're likely going to be safe. Anywhere else in the area, not a problem altogether. The reality is football, we cannot look functionally at any one profession, any one race, any one gender, and go they are, crooked. Because here's the thing. Okay. Now I will not argue that most politicians do seem to go down that road. I won't argue that point. Okay. But you take a look at it. Now here's an example of an honest politician, at least once. What he did with the refs, I don't follow politics. So the fact I heard about this at all is amazing unto itself. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he became the governor of California years ago, he got in there, got into office and looked at the budget, come back out, and he goes to the public. And I'm just paraphrasing at this point. Okay, and I don't know the backstory. So how about if we don't go down that road? Okay, but he gets onto the TV and goes, "Look, we have a problem. So here's the way this is going to work. I have one of two choices. I can either cut social programs or I can increase taxes. The call is yours. I will go with whatever you guys tell me. So here's a ballot. Decide. Do you desire social services or are you willing to deal with a tax hike?" Okay. Now, this was an honest statement on his part. The people of California at that point voted to hold on to the social systems, the social programs. So, Governor Schwarzenegger turned around and raised the taxes. And everybody turned around, so many people looked at him and went, "You're just like every other politician. You're just going to raise taxes." Well, the fact of the matter is, from what I heard, okay, and I'm no authority on the situation, from what I heard, he gave the population the choice. They made the choice. Okay, now I'm talking the whole population. So if you're in California and you didn't vote in favor of that, then I do feel for you. Okay, the point is, he was honest and said, "This is what I need to do. This is what I'm giving you the option of." He was being honest about it, and he followed through with it, at least on that one instance. Okay, now there was another politician up in BC here. Okay, you're right, he was down in Vancouver, and his name was Bill Vander Zalm. When he was asked what he got into politics for, he literally came out and told everybody on the news, he goes, "I got into politics to make a name for myself." Well, if you know anything about politics, okay, about Canadian politics, Bill Vander Zalm did make a name for himself. But I will tell you, it wasn't a good name, but he never said he was going to make a good name for himself. He said he was going to make a name for himself. Again, an example of a politician that was honest. Yeah, Philip goes, I call neighbor first, then the sheriff's department. Neighbors would get here first. I met great deputy sheriffs, and I met duds, just like with people generally. And that I will agree with wholeheartedly there, Philip. I've run into some police that you're looking at them, they're brilliant people, really genuinely nice people. And I've seen some that you're looking at them going, who gave you that badge in the first place? Am I going to give names? No, not very many times will I. Okay. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, Joe, I do appreciate that. Joe's just saying, I look forward to these shows every night and every other night. It keeps my mind off of problems at home, which I keep to myself a lot. I've shared most of them to my Facebook. I don't usually share. Oh, Gunter goes, I don't usually share my issues. I know I should, but don't. Here's the thing. Okay. When it comes to sharing your issues, absolutely, two things we got to keep in mind. Sharing is a way of getting a little bit of support. I've handed some of my share of my issues to you guys, and I'll tell you, the support that I've received in this chat room, as well as in the comments in the videos, has been phenomenal. Okay, am I going to plan to stand up and tell you everything I've got going on in my head? We haven't got enough time in the lifetime to do that. Yeah, Philip goes, people say that the Sheriff of Nottingham was less than wonderful. They say that Robin Hood's disrespect of Nottingham sheriff deputies was supported by the people. Here's the stupid part. Now, when you take a look at the man that they reported as Robin Hood, at the time that was written, okay, but at the time he wandered around, I myself was a thief. I didn't run with Robin. I was the locksmith. I was a specialist in locks. But yes, Robin of Locksley. But here's what they don't tell you. Okay, yes, Robin was supported by the community, but that's because there were two factors involved. One, he absolutely went after the sheriff, but his claim to fame was he steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Absolutely, he did. The rich happened to be, for the most part, the sheriff's department, the sheriff of Nottingham, and his people. But the poor that most of that money went to was Robin's own people. And yes, do not get me wrong, he did share food with the people who were starving. But the massive majority, and I knew this personally, I didn't run with him. I had a whole different gamut. Okay, now Robin absolutely targeted the sheriff more often than not. Quite frankly, he saw it as more of a game. Absolutely, Gunther. Where are we here? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Eric. I do appreciate it. And now that I know who you are, piece of things together. Hopefully, I will continue to remember your name, but don't hold your breath. Joe's just saying this show alone, anything paranormal wise, I speak about it here. I don't post on my own Facebook. There's a lot of things I think about that I don't post on my Facebook. Primarily because, well, got too many other things on the go. But I will tell you this: sharing your problems with people that genuinely are looking to help you, okay, are looking to give you a little bit of support, a little bit of encouragement. This is what this life is supposed to be about. Okay. Honestly, it really is there, Philip. But we have to look at this world and turn around and go, okay, what are we doing? Are we going to continue, are we going to continue encouraging the segregation and the separation, the disassociation amongst the denizens of the human species? Okay, because it's gone way overboard. Instead of working towards putting people, finding similarities, so many people are creating new ways of saying, I'm different than everybody. Well, newsflash, guys, every single one of you is a unique and very powerful individual. Every single one of you has the capacity to change your life for the better, effective starting now. Not next week, not last week, right now. Okay. Now, you may have started last week. I agree with you, Philip. And this is why I will jump on certain things. Philip's just going, in my opinion, segregation is depressing. If you've ever met the Chinese people, China has a really bad rap. And I'm not saying they're perfect by any means. Okay. I'm quite happy living in Canada. But a lot of Chinese people are really, really decent people. And around the globe, I will still stand by the idea that 90 to 95% of people worldwide, no matter where they live, all around the world, 90 to 95% of people are decent, genuinely nice people. Okay. However, we are taught to fear, to disrespect, to segregate, to look down on, and the list goes on. I'm not interested in looking down on people. There's only two types of people I look down on. Okay. Those I'm shorter and that I'm taller than, and those that are sitting down or laying down when I'm standing up. If I'm above them, I would look down on them. But I'm talking about physically. I don't cotton to the idea of looking down on anybody because of who or what they are. Oh, absolutely, Ozzy. That one I absolutely agree with. Ozzy just clarifying. He goes, all I'm saying is these first world complainers, they should take a trip through Asia. They'll change their opinion really quick. Absolutely. Okay. Well, football, as far as I'm aware, the Chinese don't actually eat people on the whole. Will they eat cats and dogs from what I gather? Yeah, but that seems to be more in Korea. Okay. The reality of it is, I really do appreciate you guys joining me and sharing your time with me. And yeah, right now, where are we here? We are at 6:30. Now, normally I shut down right here. Okay. No, in all fairness, football, I really don't. Okay, but do understand something very much. Yeah, before I get to that, Phil's just going, I talked to a lot of Chinese people in Vancouver, BC. I was lost in Vancouver. Mostly they said to me with a friendly smile and thick accent, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. And you can't complain about, you can't, worry too much about that. If they don't speak English, at least they're being honest with you. I was trying to talk to a gentleman that moved here from Brazil, and he goes, I sorry, no speak English. I looked at him and I says, that's okay, yo no hablo español. Now understand, Brazilians speak Portuguese, but they also know that Portuguese is close enough to Brazil and to Spanish, they can do it. Now, where it comes to looking down on human eaters, okay, do understand something very important. The act of eating a human doesn't bother me. Okay, the act of killing the human in order to eat them, that is a problem, although it's far better to kill them before you eat them. Okay, but the act of eating a human, to me, and I know this sounds twisted, okay, but I told you I'm a little different. Okay, I don't look down on that side of it. It's just another meal. Now, do not get me wrong. I would not even consider selling somebody that I know that has passed away, selling their body to someplace for dinner. Wouldn't happen. Way beyond what I consider functional. But am I going to look down on people that eat it? No, I don't see the point. Number one, if they're not murdering the person, it's the killing issue that it goes completely against my outlook. You think about it, the concept, thou shalt not kill, is absolutely wrong. In my opinion, it's absolutely dead wrong. The fifth commandment of the Christian faith is listed currently as thou shalt not kill. Up until 300 AD, it was listed as thou shalt not murder. And rest assured, there is a massive difference between murder and killing. Ozzy is saying here, now follow Portuguese. Pronunciation is probably off, but I presume that means I don't speak Portuguese. As far as your question, Philip, how tall are human eaters? That depends entirely on the human, on the one that's eating humans. Oh, yeah, Ozzy. Yeah, when we're talking about the cats and dogs and lizards from earlier, the neat part there, okay, is lizards literally, the reptilians literally see humans as another flavor of food. Okay, for me, it really boils down to there are things, and I'm really lucky with the reptilians I've dealt with. They know I look at food. It's like, okay, if it's cooked, if it's cooked properly, I'm good. I'm not one for eating raw food. In all fairness, I really don't eat that much in the way of raw vegetables. But it's just, you got to remember, it is simply another form of organic food. And yes, if your body will digest it, it's organic. And yet, people keep talking about organic farming, which they say means they're not putting poison directly on their plants, which is right. But they're still using the same global air, the same soil setup. They're still getting the toxins that other people are putting there. So my personal opinion is simple. If it's organic, it's edible. Okay, if it's inorganic, it's plastic. I'm not cooking it. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Philip goes, there's an economics professor I like to watch on YouTube who is 4'11" tall. He teaches it in a fun way. In my own, now I don't know what that an acronym is, but yeah, I was told the same thing. But no, the reality, oh, there we go. It was a typo. Yeah. Philip is just saying he's been watching this chap for years. He only just learned of his height. And realistically, does his height make you think any less of his ability to teach? Okay. See, a lot of what you've been told about humans, yes, their bodies have changed. Okay, and absolutely, they have changed away from certain things. But everything can be digested. Sometimes it takes a little more time. Oh, that's terrible, Philip. Philip goes, no legs of him. There's a lot of things, but the one thing the human body has not evolved beyond is this idea of going either vegetarian or vegan. Okay, and the reason I say that, even vegetarians and vegans have incisors. Okay, incisors are not needed. They're not required for vegetables. Okay, they're not required for plants. That's just the way it is. Okay, but the human genome is still omnivorous. And the protein you can get in beans. Now, I'm not a nutritionist. Okay, understand that. But my personal experience is this: the protein you get in beans is not the same protein that you get in red meat. Now, you don't have to like red meat, don't get me wrong. I'm not the one to tell you you have to eat red meat. If you don't like it, that's your call. Okay, but conversely, I don't have to cut out my red meat. Quite seriously, I cut out red meat out of my diet. I actually start to feel really run down. Yeah, Philip goes, if he invited me to his house, I'd be mindful of my head walking through doorways. Yeah, absolutely. You know, absolutely. Especially, when you go into somebody's house, you do have to respect the laws of their house. Okay, but remember, you must honor the laws of the land in which you are. If you walk into somebody's house, their laws take precedence over yours. If you don't like their laws, turn around and walk out. Okay. I remember a chap who came in to visit me the first time he'd ever been over. And he walks in my door. Now, at the time I basically lived in a warehouse. I had boxes of stuff all over the place. Kind of like this. You know, but, I had these boxes all over the place. The guy walked into my house and he goes, "This place is a dump." I looked at him and I said, "You don't like it? You know where the front door is." Okay. Do understand I'm very cut and dried in case you hadn't pieced that together. Okay. From my standpoint, it's a very simple issue. Yeah. No, it was, I said very much like a warehouse. It was an apartment, but I had more junk than you could functionally look at. I mean, the way that when in the house I was living in at the time, every square inch of wall would have been covered with pictures or things that I was hanging on to, be it figures, be it knives, didn't matter. Okay, but I had boxes of paperwork. I had books all over the place. I had gaming stuff from one end of the house to the other. You know, and of course, even my cupboards, they were overloaded. Like at one point, I think when I started getting rid of stuff, one of the first things I did was get rid of 30 some odd coffee cups. Okay. Oh, it was absolutely sanitary there, Philip. You know, I literally would walk into my house, and go to do the house cleaning, and I'd take the stand of the boxes of stuff. I'd pick them up, I'd move them out of the way, vacuum the floor under where they were, and then put them back. Okay. There was this really neat thing about, I don't want the extra bugs. And, I was a pack rat. I was not a hoarder. Okay. So, what you're seeing here, this stack of boxes here, that would have gone all the way to the roof. Okay. It was just that simple. But yeah, I was always cleaning something because I didn't like the spiders. I didn't want the spider mites. I didn't want the other complications. And no, I didn't have pets at the time. So I didn't have to worry about the kitty litter and that sort of thing. You know, that's just the reality of it. But now it's a question of getting rid of a lot of stuff. I started getting rid of stuff in, well, I'm 60 now, so I started getting rid of it in back when I was 50. I turned 55 and went, this stuff's going. It does. That box below that, it does say king. But that box literally says King of Yam. Now, in that particular box, that particular box has a bunch of paperwork from my youngest son's school years. I haven't gone through it and thrown a bunch of it out. It's my kid. I used to have better reasons for it, like, well, I didn't want to get rid of it, so I didn't. But I simply go down to, like, I've been down to the liquor store probably a half dozen times in the last 2 months. But understand, I go in there, I don't buy alcohol, I pick up empty boxes so I can get rid of stuff. So I mean, this is just my way of doing it, but I don't throw the stuff in the dump. If it's still functionally usable, I'll either give it to somebody that I know can use it, or I'll drop it off at a secondhand store. Yes, they're going to sell it and make money. I don't care. It's out of my house. And it's not going into a landfill if it's still usable. Yeah, at this point I do. I've just got to get moved where it's no longer in the middle of my floor. Because I will tell you, I've stubbed my feet on it way too often. But that's how I organize things. It was really neat. I had company come over the other day, and they managed to get a look at the way my house was. And this is where I operate. This is where I live. This is, yes, I've got 1,000 square feet in my apartment, but it's this roughly 100 square feet that I spend 90% of my time in. And that's just the way my life has been for years. Now what I'm doing is really working hard to get things wrapped up. And to that end, I had run into a little bit of a roadblock because of the way I had written things and too many things on the go. I was looking at let me just bring this up so I can give you the right info. I'd gotten through the first 200 pages of the Return to Paradise. And I ran into a roadblock in chapter 18 there that stopped me cold because I'm going, there's something wrong. Well, I finally hit the break on the break point on it, and now I'm starting to sail forward and get it racked off. Let's shrink that down again. I wouldn't bet my life on that. But, Philip goes, I bet Muhammad Ali never stubbed his foot on the box. Because he was a world champion boxer. You do remember that being a world champion boxer also meant that his hands were the things that were really deadly. He may well have stubbed his foot. I don't know. But I do understand what you're getting at. Myself, I was in looking for help with the government. And the government turned around, and the lady in the government, she goes, so how's your balance? The woman that had gone in there with me to help make sure that I understood what was going on, she cut me off. She looks at the worker and goes, what balance? Like my balance is virtually non-existent. And yeah, quite often when I'm walking, more often than not, I walk like I'm drunk. I'll walk this way. And bear in mind, I don't drink alcohol, except once or twice a year, sometimes 3 times. My dad's birthday, he's passed away now, Christmas, and New Year's. Other than that, I don't touch the stuff. Yes, I brought out my bottle a couple of times to show you, but understand, I bought that particular bottle back in 2017. Oh, absolutely, Philip. As a matter of fact, give me a sec, because some of you may or may not have seen this. Give me just half a second here. Yeah, this particular little monster, okay, I had it custom built because my leg will dislocate without warning. But the way it works, apparently this is holding him backwards. Because apparently most people hold the cane this way. Okay, I can't hold it that way. So I had it custom made and I hold the cane that way, which puts my hand right on top of it and puts all the weight down. I've worn 4 of these out. But by using this, I can get around without any functional problem. You know, and yeah, this one, well, you picture it. That's purple wood, that's purple heart, and yellow heart wood. But right down the middle of it, on the inside, is a 3/4 inch shaft that runs all the way from there, shaft of metal. Runs from about there to about there. That's one 3/4 inch shaft of wood. Now, the other real neat part about it, my dad was trained by a Shinto master where it came to handling canes. So, do I worry about it? No. I'm a pacifist. Yeah, Philip, it is. The guy upstairs built this thing. Okay. And yeah, I went up. It was custom fit to my hand. So I went upstairs to his workshop. And he ended up carving it out and just thinning it out every now and then, while he was putting it together until it was absolutely built right. Okay. So, yeah, this is very much. I'd already worn out 4 other canes. One my dad had built, I turned it over to somebody else because it was wearing out. And they wanted it just from a decoration standpoint. But no, I carry that one in my right hand because it's my right leg that is completely screwed up. So if my right leg goes and I'm using that, I don't hit the floor. It's kind of funny that way. But everybody has their shortfalls. These, okay, and I'm living proof this works. It used to be if I'm holding my glasses right there, I couldn't physically see them. Okay. However, I did cure that problem. I have, they call them, and they use them for Hollywood. But I agree with you there, Philip. But I was accused a lot growing up because I've been on that thing. I've been on a cane since I was 12. Okay. 1975, July 4th at approximately 5 p.m. I tore my leg apart all the way from partway up the thigh, all the way down to almost halfway down the shin. Okay, on concrete and gravel, right smack in the middle of a 7-inch growth spurt. Now, the reality of it is, I always got told, oh, you don't need a cane. And almost without exception, like I'd take it off, I'd be carrying the cane. They tell me I don't require it. So, of course, I'm holding on to it like this. And I pull my hand open, and the indent in the palm of my hand told a whole different story. But no, I was always told that I didn't need a cane. And I'm like, yeah. In May of 75, I was 4 foot. In May of 75, I was 4 foot 11. In September of 75, I was 5'6". So I mean, it was like a 4-month period. I was growing an inch a month. Actually, at about 1.5 to 2 inches a month when you think about it. June, July, August. Yeah, I was growing at almost 2 inches a month. Thank heavens that happened in the dead of summer. Because there's no way I could have stayed in pants. They were always, half an inch short within the first couple of weeks. So that was pretty much the only reason I stayed in shorts at that point. No, but I was eating dang near anything that didn't move. No, I had a metabolism that was just bizarre. And of course, I wasn't gaining weight, I was simply growing. Oh, how's it going? Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Old man asked to go to the hospital for his fortnightly checkup. You take care, and all the best to you and the gentleman you're taking care of. And again, Ozzy, thanks so much on his behalf for taking the time to take care of him. Yeah, I really do appreciate it, and I will catch up with you the next time. You know, and for all you guys out there, how about some real well wishes for Ozzy, or for the friend that Ozzy is taking care of? Yeah, unfortunately, Joe, that's very much the issue. You know, the unfortunate part is many people when they get ill, especially as they get older, it's like I'm not changing. Matt Geek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, we got started really late today, which is why I'm actually still here. Oh, and look at that, we are getting down to the end anyway. But, you know, the reality of it is that we had I got started real late today, but that's why I decided I was going to stick around longer. Hopefully, the phone call I've got to deal with as soon as I get off here will rectify the problem with the videos, and thereby I can start doing the uploads, and then we'll see what happens. In the meantime, the other side of it is I'll be working on a number of writing projects. And by the way, where are we here? We are in July. Yeah, I've got to get that sorted out too. Matter of fact, I really have to get that sorted out. That's just odd. But there's all sorts of other things get sold. But no, the reality of it from my standpoint is this. Okay, this time on YouTube, I'm not going to be charging. Do I look at the numbers? Certainly. And like I said, if you haven't done so already, if you like our stream, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and absolutely leave a comment in the comment section. I will do my level best to get to them. Okay, because I really do appreciate it. Philip, the answer to your question is is essentially no. Okay, I do have a file that tells me which characters have been introduced. And bearing in mind, this is a 4,800 approximately page story saga. I do have an Excel file that I keep track of which people have been brought in, what syntax I'm using for what type of writing. But the storylines themselves, 90% of them are right there. I do have short little blurbs on occasion that tells me I've got to fill this in at an earlier rate, at an earlier time, because of flashbacks and foreshadowings, because it's all interlocked. But do I have a lot of articles I've written, a lot of pieces of information, all filed appropriately? The answer is yes. But an overall plot line, no. Or subplot line for that matter, no. That all gets done up here. And it pretty much stays up there. I've had to take, and because of the fact that I've got my other half, my executive assistant, EA, my editor, I've got her doing so much. She's doing transcribing for me, editing for me, proofreading for me. Okay, she's doing the whole 9 yards. And the funny thing is, she's picky as they get. What I'm looking at, like when it comes to her, I've had to take to not telling her what's coming up ahead, because of the fact that we're in the middle of trying to tie off the editing while I'm doing the final writing to finish filling in about 60 pages that are missing. I think it's about 60. Let me just double check that number. 230, 300. Yeah, I've got about 60 pages of room left to work with. Okay. But I finally made the breakthrough. I'll be able to rack off a lot of that. But I do desire to get that third book out ASAP, as well as the Race of the Worlds, which tomorrow is Monday, so we'll end up doing a fair chunk then. Okay. But no, I don't have plot lines. I got a lot up here, a lot of ideas I'm working with that are now starting to come together. Where are we here? Technically, the way you asked it, Philip, it is possible, but I know what her shortfall is. She knows what mine are. The reality is she a bit of a perfectionist? Absolutely. Yo, when you look at where we've got a scene change, this young lass will turn around and spot extra spaces in a scene change, and all a scene change is you're writing along, you stop, leave a line blank, and then carry on with the next scene. But in that blank line, if I've hit the space bar a couple of times in it, she'll spot it. Now, here's the kicker to it. She's 100% blind. And no, she's definitely not a Virgo. She's a Taurian. Okay. Now you got me wondering. I think she's a Taurian. Of course, I may well be pulling a blank on that. She does it she's got some sort of program that she does it by ear. Okay. But I'll tell you, she spots the weirdest things. I had an editor that didn't spot 3/4 of it. Okay. But I have learned a lot about writing and about consistency and about the, spotting redundancies and inconsistencies. This young lass is phenomenal. Okay. And yes, like I told you guys, when I decided I was going to find a partner in life, I did say I'm going to have the best of the best for me. Okay. And this one ranks right up there. Okay. I've already told her. She gets across the border, I will ask her to marry me. Okay. No, and all she asked was, she says, please don't ask me the day I get there. I said, okay, you got that. I won't ask you the day you arrive. Other than that, all bets are off. And like I told her, yeah, she's on a time limit. If I die first before she gets here, or she dies before she gets here, I'm not marrying her. It's that simple. Yeah, Philip's going, I read by ear and catch a lot of typos I wouldn't have caught had I been reading by eye. I take it this means, and now, let me ask you this, Philip. Oh, heavens no, Joe. Not at all. You can rest assured, Joe, we will not do that. Okay, heck, I won't talk about people when they are here. But do your best to rest assured on that one. Philip, I gotta ask. Well, I don't have to, I'm going to. But Philip, are you actually blind? Or do you just listen because it's the way you take in the information? And no, football I really don't. Okay. I've got my quirks, she's got her quirks. But the reality is, do I worry about it? Not at all. Like I've told her, I said, absolutely. I'm a control freak. There is no way I am going to cotton to the idea of encouraging her to drive in downtown traffic. But I mean, she doesn't, the fact she's blind does not mean that she doesn't have isn't capable. Ah, Philip goes, I use text and text to speech app. I'm not blind, I just have ADHD and keep focused better by ear. Makes total sense. Okay. I can't my problem with text to speech is my mind will go off in 14 different directions while I'm doing that. So what I end up doing is I lock myself in on what I'm writing, and that seems to work for me. Okay. And the technology used for text to speech is absolutely one of these things the technology did that I personally think was a good move. Okay. Do I use Grammarly or that sort of thing? No. I'm still a firm believer that paying attention to what I'm writing myself is a fine, that's just for me. Okay. I'm, shall we say, a little picky in my own way. But it's like I told my other half. I am going to have an empire. I'm going to build it. I'm going to build a publishing company that will do the job properly. Okay. But the reality is, I'm going to do it my way. Okay. And yeah, I know that sounds very, but hey, what the heck? And that is, I know what that is. I can't even figure out where that's coming. So that little ring is going to. Uh oh, what do we got? Yeah, text to speech can't tell the difference between a street and a street when the text says Saint. Yeah, no doubt. And that's the reality of it. Now, that being said, that was a phone call I was supposed to be on a while ago. But we are after 7 o'clock, and like I said, way later than I was planning on. But with that in mind, I do want to say thank you so much, people, for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I do have to fly here. And with that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow, let me just quickly check. Should be already listed, I hope. Tomorrow is Monday. Oh, tomorrow is the 24th. So I will be coming back online tomorrow, 4:30 Pacific until 6:30 Pacific. That's 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And we're literally going to look at kickstarting your life today. Okay, well, we're going to do that tomorrow. Okay, and get you back on track. But again, I'll give you the tools, but you're going to have to do the work. Okay, that being said, until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.